You can generate all the leads that you want, but if you don't nail that product demo, you won't win that customer. Here's a big question though. What makes for an effective product demo? In this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 7 key principles that you absolutely need to know on how to create an unstoppable product demo. And when you implement these principles, you will be able to accelerate your path to that next stage of growth. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. No matter how great your go-to-market is, if you don't nail your product demo, you're not gonna win any customers. Having worked with over 300 SaaS companies to help them develop their go-to-market strategy, inevitably, it came to a point where we really needed to nail that product demo. Here's the thing though, great products and great product demos, they're almost magical. I'm sure you've bought a product at some point, and before you bought that product, you saw a demo. Maybe it was an Apple keynote. Maybe it was just a demo video on a website as you were starting for a free trial, or maybe it was a salesperson guiding you through a real product. Either way, as soon as you saw that great demo, you knew right away you just had to have that product. You just needed to have it. And that's what makes for great product demos, where by the time your prospect looks at it, they get to a point, they get to an aha moment where they're like, oh my God, I need to have this product, or we need to deploy this product, or we need to purchase this product and go through this entire transformation they're talking about. In this video, we're gonna dig into the 7 key principles that you absolutely need to know on how to create an unstoppable product demo that converts your leads, your prospects to real customers. And if you watch till the end, I'm gonna give you a bonus principle that I've learned over the years in coaching SaaS founders that doesn't quite come up as often, but when you actually implement it, it completely changes the game on how effective your product demo is. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's dig right into principle number 1. And by the way, the YouTube algorithm just loves it when you smash that like button, and so do we. We put a lot of love into these videos, so please do that. Principle number 1, before you even think about a demo. Now, the biggest thing I have to teach founders as they think about their demos is to get them to stop thinking about their features. The last thing a prospect really needs or wants is for you to go through, here's feature A and here's feature B. And so one of the biggest tricks that I've learned in the game, even for myself as I'm creating product demos for my own companies, is to find a way to get myself to step away from the features and start thinking about how do we actually serve the customer. The way I do this is I always remind founders to think about the 3 core pillars of a successful SaaS business. These 3 core pillars is what actually drives an effective product demo. So thinking about it first makes a huge difference. The first part of this pillar is the market. This is essentially your ideal customer profile. This is what defines who your ideal customer is, what's going on in their world, and why they need your solution, what the urgent and important problem is that you're solving. The second part of this pillar is your product. This is your 10x differentiated product, because here's the thing. If you're in SaaS today, if you're in AI today, it is a competitive market out there. And if someone's looking at a demo of your product, chances are they're also looking at demos of other products. It's not just the features that differentiate you, but it's the entire product and how it's presented. And so you need to have a 10x differentiated product. And the last piece is your go-to-market. You know, go-to-market is how you attract leads, how you attract opportunities, but also how you sell them on it, whether it's a self-service basis or it's through a sales process. All of these pieces come together in a go-to-market strategy. Now, the reason I always start with this before I get into the specific parts of a product demo is because it reminds us that it's not just about the features. A demo is not just about the features. It is the optimization point in the middle. The middle of this, where you are really tapping into the market needs, the urgent and important problem, showing the most relevant parts of the product, and actually telling an entire story as part of your entire go-to-market, that's where product demos come from. Those are the underpinnings of an effective product demo. So one of the things I always do whenever I'm working with founders or when I'm thinking about building a product demo for one of my own companies I always take a step back and start to think about, all right, what's the market? What's the ideal customer? What's the urgent and important problem? What is my product and how is it 10 times better than the competition? And what is my go-to-market? How do I communicate that even before they come into the demo or the sales call or the self-service experience? And then how do I reinforce that as part of the product demo? This little trick gets me and anyone else that I'm coaching to understand that it's not just about showing all your features. You will lose the deal if you do it that way. It's about thinking broadly about what's going on in the customer and the marketplace and how your product fits into the whole piece of the puzzle. Once you've done principle number one, once you've started to get yourself out of the feature trap, then you start to get into how to structure your demo. So this is where principle number two comes in. Now, I don't know if you've been in any demo calls, maybe you run your own demos and that's why you're looking for a video on how to fix your demos, but the worst calls are the ones where they're like super boring. They start to get in the product and they're like, well, here's how I log in and let me just set up my SendGrid authentication and then we'll get into the product. And you're already like, dude, I only have 30 minutes and you have shown me nothing. And so principle number two, when you're structuring your demos, starting to get yourself to think about the customer and what they really need and the transformation you're bringing and the journey they've taken to get on this demo in the first place, is to jump into what I call the action shot. The action shot is the most exciting part of your product. Ideally, it's the part of your product where the users of the product will be spending most of their time. So for my last company, ToutApp, we were one of the pioneers in the sales engagement space. Our action shot was right inside of Gmail. Inside of Gmail, as soon as we got into a demo, we said, okay, you're in sales. We were a sales engagement tool, so we sold to salespeople. We were one of the first ones, so not everyone knew that they needed our tool, which is, I know, crazy to think right now because it's a multi-billion-dollar category now. But back then, we would have to set the stage and say, okay, you're a salesperson. You just got off a sales call. You now need to follow up with that deal. So you're in Gmail and you need to send the best follow-up email. So we're gonna show you how to do that using Tout. And we would show them our templates feature. We would show them our scheduling feature. We would show them our CRM integration feature. And right in there, we were able to jump right into the action shot, which highlighted the core workflow of the product. So principle number two is to make sure that you don't bore people with the setup or the login or any of that stuff. You take them to the action shot of the product, the core of the product, the most exciting part of the product. Assume everything is set up, assume everything is loaded in. You're just taking them into the day of the life of the user and showing them how your product fits in and starts to add value right away. Once you've shown them the action shot, then you want to show them your no hands mode. Every software product has essentially what I call a no hands mode. This is a bunch of stuff that happens where the software does it for you. In today's world with AI and with agents, this is more true than ever before. Let me give you an example. So with ToutApp, once you sent the email to the customer, a bunch of stuff happened. Number one, we would start tracking that email and any documents you sent. Number two, we would log that email in the CRM. Number three, we would set up a follow-up task or a follow-up email automatically to make sure that you followed up on that deal. And number four, we would show you real-time stats on exactly what was happening with that email. This is what I call no hands mode. This is a bunch of stuff that the software is doing for you without the user having to do anything. And a lot of times people buy software for that reason. They buy software because it's essentially doing a lot of the work that normally doesn't get done or is extremely manual or isn't possible for humans to do. So you want to jump straight from the action shot right to the no hands mode. And in the no hands mode, you want to show, look, once your users start using this software and we start collecting the data, here's all the magical things that it does for you automatically without you having to do anything. This is where you can show some of your coolest features. For ToutApp, the live feed was my most favorite feature. It showed you a real-time view of when the email was opened, clicked, when the documents were open, when they went to the website, when they replied, all of those things. And right from there, you could follow up with a phone call or another email or update the CRM. And so our no hands mode was the live feed. We would say you send off this email, it does all this automatically for you, you get the best messaging, everything gets logged, and by the way, now you can look at this live feed and see exactly what's going on with all of your deals. And that was super powerful and users absolutely loved it. At that moment, they were like, oh my God, I need to have this product because we don't have this. We showed the aspects of the product that was 10 times better than anything else in the market. And at that point, there literally wasn't anything in the market, maybe one competitor, Yesware, but that was it. And so they were like just blown away because they were seeing this type of technology for the first time. And this is the kind of thing you really want to hone in on. You want to figure out what is the action shot and then what is the no hands mode, because you nail these two two things, it's like getting right into the most exciting part of a movie. You can't look away. You can't go to your next meeting. You need to finish the rest of the demo because you're hooked. And that's what you want for your Unstoppable demo. Once you've done that piece, then comes the next principle. So principle number 4 in your Unstoppable product demo is to show the manager's view. Now, for any single demo that you're doing, if you're running sales calls, even if you're doing a self-service product demo, there's always two constituents. There's the person that's the user, but then there's also the person that's the manager. If you're going into the SMB market, the entry-level market, chances are the person buying is both the user and also the business owner and the manager. If you start to get into mid-market, certainly into enterprise, there are different people that you're looking to convince between the users and the managers. With the action shot, you tend to show all the things that are happening for the user, the core workflow. With the no hands mode, you're starting to show some of the benefits to both the user and the manager and the admins on the platform. But this principle number 4 is to jump to the manager's view. The manager's view is where all these pieces come together. So you can start to paint a picture of, look, if all your users are running their workflow on our platform and we're doing all these things automatically, then you start to get specific things that you don't get right now. You might get analytics. You might get controls. You might get security, and you might get reports. These are all the key things that the user may not care about as much, but the manager will care about a lot because they're like, oh my God, not only are we making it 10 times better for the users, for my people, for my employees, but also I get this visibility. I start to understand what's working and what's not. In the ToutApp case, we would show our analytics dashboard, and it would be a real-time view into how the entire pipeline was moving and what was working and what wasn't, what kind of messaging was working, which deal was more likely to close. We showed all of that data from a heads-up view. And that was super powerful to the sales leaders that were on the call, and they were the ultimate buyer. They were the people that were making the ultimate decision on whether they wanted to roll this out to their entire sales team. So the manager's view is where this starts to really come together to show the true value of the product. Once every single user is using it, once you're doing a bunch of stuff automatically, you're collecting all this data, you're getting all these insights, you can have all these controls, you can do all these things automatically. All those pieces start to come together in the manager's view. Before I go to principle number 5, let me just pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? There are normal product demos that don't convert very well, and then there are unstoppable demos. And unstoppable demos, start to think about your product from your customer's view. It's not just about the features. It's more about what market are you serving? What's the urgent, important problem? What is the narrative? What is the story that you're presenting? And how are you showing your product in that context? And when you start with the action shot, then you get into no hands mode, then you show the manager's view, you start to build excitement about the product. Even if you're selling a boring B2B product to the most boring industry, for those people, because you're presenting it in this way, everything starts to change. And this is where Unstoppable demo really starts to come together. If you're starting to see the power in this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? And also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It loves it when you do that. And honestly, so do we, because we put a lot of love into these videos. Also, if you're in this stage where you're figuring out your product demo, and maybe you got more than enough demos and you just need to convert them, but maybe you don't, maybe you need to get more demos, then you should grab a copy of my 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide. This 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide gives you the 5 critical pillars to driving growth for a SaaS business so that you can get more of these demos. So by the end of this episode, you'll know how to transform your demo, and you're gonna crush all the demos you have, but then you're gonna want more demos. So you should grab a copy of that guide. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll link to it below. I'll also tell you more about it at the end of this episode. Let's go to principle number 5, where a lot of this starts to come together. Principle number 5 is where you start to show the business ROI. This is super important. Remember, the big thing you're trying to do in this demo is not just show a bunch of features and ask them, like, do you want to buy this thing? What you're really trying to do is paint a narrative from your customer's point of view to show them how your software can transform how they work. So the big thing that you want to highlight at this point, when you've shown them the action shot, what the users get, all the stuff that gets automated, the no hands mode, all the things that the managers get and the admins get to get a heads up view, you want to start to highlight the the business ROI. Almost every single SaaS product that is successful in the market has some sort of screen, has some sort of feature, has some sort of report where the ROI starts to come together. For Kader, we would show how many emails got sent and what kind of pipeline you were generating. That's ROI. We would show stats around, look, it takes 7 touches to follow up with a prospect to get them into a meeting. So we would show those kind of stats because we tracked the success that was coming out of the platform. So what you really want to do is at this point, get to the part of the product that demonstrates and that reminds them of the ROI. This is one of those elite level moves. The standard way where you just tell them like, hey, you're gonna get this much ROI if you use our product. There's another way, which is you show an actual dashboard that demonstrates the type of ROI that they're going to get once they start using the product. And that's where this product demo starts to become really unstoppable. One of the things about ROI, there's 3 different ways you can structure ROI. One is to save money. If they buy your product, they save money. The other one is to drive growth. If they buy your product, they're gonna grow faster, they're gonna grow more. And the third one is to reduce risk. Those are the 3 big types of ROI for business software. That's why people buy business software. And there's a force ranking on this. Reduction of risk is number 2. Growth is number 1 and saving money is number 3. So if you're driving growth, if your software is oriented around driving growth for a business, it's honestly an easier sell because people want to drive growth and they will invest in that growth. If you are going to reduce risk, meaning they pay $100,000 for your software and they avoid $20 million of fines, that's reduction of risk and people are just as willing to invest in that. If you're saving money, that's where it gets a little tricky. You're like, look, you pay all these employees $100,000. On top of that, you're gonna pay us another $100,000 so that they are more effective. And they're like, well, that means I'm just doubling my spend. And you're like, no, you can fire half of them and you can save money. And they'll be like, I don't want to fire people, not right now. And so it gets into a tricky conversation. So you're almost always thinking in terms of business ROI that drives growth or reducing risk. Those are the better ones. If you have to do saving money, just remember it's a little bit tougher of a sale. So when you get to this business ROI piece, you really want to demonstrate the product and explain the ROI in a clear way and start to work around the common objections that come up. All right, once you demonstrate the business ROI, then we get into the 6th essential element of an unstoppable product demo. The 6th element is essentially addressing any objections that they have. So by the time they see the action shot, the no hands mode, the manager's view, they start to look at the ROI, they're either thinking, I gotta have this, or they're thinking about an objection. And the reality is there's always going to be objections. Great sales and great marketing is addressing the potential buyer's objections. And so what you wanna highlight at this point are the business risks. The business risks are all the things that happen with their status quo, meaning if they don't buy your product, what are all the things that are gonna happen in their business? So if you are about driving growth, let's just use the Tout example. Well, for Tout, there is absolutely no way you can generate pipeline using outbound if you're not using a sales engagement tool. And so the business risk here is like, look, it takes 7 touches to turn a prospect into a real opportunity. And if you're doing it manually, your salespeople are just not going to do it. And given the pipeline goals that you shared, well, you're not gonna hit it if you don't get a sales engagement platform. So that's the risk of the status quo. Those are the kind of things you really want to highlight at this point in the demo. If there are relevant features that you can show, then you can show it on the screen. But in this case, you may not have to show an actual feature. You just have to bring up the conversation about the status quo. You can just say like, look, when you use this platform, it does all these things for your users. It does all these things automatically. Here's the visibility that you get. Here are the controls that you get. And here's the ROI that you get. And if you don't do any of these things, then here are the risks to your business. You can just talk through it or even have a slide around it. But it's super important at this point to stop going into more and more features and start to talk about addressing some of the objections. And the power in this is when you show this part of the product or you show a slide or you bring this up, you can start to open up the conversation and get them talking about some objections that are already top of mind for them. And what you're really doing here is you're preempting some of the objections that you already know about, because realistically, you know your customers has the top 5 objections and you want to start to bake that into your product demo and your sales process and all the way up to your marketing process, which is part of this go-to-market motion. You see, it all connects. So once you've addressed the business risks, then you're cooking. At this point, they should start to be leaning in. If you've done your job correctly, at this point, you've shown them how amazing the product is. You've shown them the no hands mode. You've shown them the manager's view. You've shown them the ROI, and you've shown them what happens if they don't do this. At this point, they must be like, oh my God, we got to do something over here. This is where you really go in for the most critical component. But you can't do this in the beginning. This has to come in the end. You put this all the way towards the end, it is the cherry on top. It is the thing that brings it all together. And that's the transformation. Here's the thing. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I really want to buy some software. No one does that. I mean, maybe some nerds do, I sometimes do, but most people don't. Most normal people don't want more software. In fact, in most mid-market and enterprise companies, they're trying to slash the amount of software they use. At the end of the day, no one wants more software, but they do want to transform how they do business. So great software companies are really selling transformations. They're not just selling software. They're not just selling features. And what you have done in this Unstoppable product demo is you have actually shown them a transformation. You've shown them, hey, here's a whole new way of doing the same workflow your people are doing 10 times better using our product. You've shown them all the automations that come with this transformation. You've shown them how the manager operates differently with a whole new level of visibility and controls. You've shown them the true ROI they're going to get as part of this transformation, and you've shown them what happens if they don't do this transformation. So at this point, you want to give this transformation a name. You want to highlight to them, like, look, when you deploy this platform, you are transforming how you operate, and that's going to get you the ROI that you need. And you really want to highlight that. For us, sales engagement wasn't a thing, so we really had to lean in to highlighting the transformation. We really had to say, like, look, you can go back to just sending emails manually and tracking on a spreadsheet, or you can automate all of this, and you can increase the volume, and you can increase the value, and you can have personalization, or you could not. And how are you going to hit your pipeline numbers? That was a transformation. Now, because sales engagement is a defined thing, you don't have to educate on the whole transformation. Depending on what market you're in, if you're in a well-established market, you may have to highlight the transformation that's unique to you in a generic market. So right now, if you're doing a sales engagement tool, you're going to have to really highlight how your transformation is uniquely different than all the other guys. If you're in a brand new market, then it's a more broader transformation. They're going from spreadsheets to an actual platform. They're going from using on-prem software to an AI-first software. So you want to highlight the transformation. And that's what really brings it together to then say, hey, do you want to buy? Or what are next steps? So those are the 7 core elements. Now I promised you that I would give you a bonus one. By the way, if you're still watching, hopefully you've gotten value. So make sure you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. Here's the bonus one. The bonus one is I already told you my mental trick that I use for myself and for founders when I'm coaching them to get them out of the feature trap and to start to think about, like, look, what's the market? What's the urgent problem? What's your 10x product? What's the go-to-market motions? What's the messaging? How do all these come together? Think about that first and then craft your demo. And as part of that, I structure it as what's the action shot? What's the no hands mode? What's the manager's view? What's the business ROI? What are the risks? What's the transformation? Well, when you do these things, it really paints a real story for your prospects. And I guarantee not all of your competitors are doing this. So when you do it, it'll already set you apart. But there's one thing that I always do at the beginning of every demo. The worst mistake that you can make is to just jump into a demo, no matter how great your demo is. And you want to jump into the action shot, but it shouldn't just be like, hey, welcome to the call. Here's what's going on. Like, don't do that. So the bonus one is to ask why. This is before the demo. Ask why before the demo. This is one of the things that it's a little counterintuitive, because let's be honest, like, you're getting on a demo and you're excited. Think of all the things that had to happen for them to book this time. And even if it's a self-service demo that they're watching, think of all the things that needed to happen for them to watch it. So you're excited. You're like, I want to show you everything and I want you to buy. So it's a little counterintuitive, but what you should do before you jump into the demo is ask why. And this is something that's one of my most favorite things that I've learned as a founder. You should ask why they're here. It could be phrased in many different ways, but you should ask, like, hey, I know you're super busy. There's a million things you could be doing. What is going on in your world that made you decide to take a call today and watch a demo of our product? That's it. Just ask them. The reason this is super important is because they're going to tell you a bunch of stuff. No one likes to be delayed on the demo. They're like, I want to watch the product. And you're like, cool. I just want to go through these 18 discovery questions before I show you the product. And people are going to be like, screw you, I'm moving on. But if you just ask that simple question, like, hey, I know you're super busy. You could be doing a million different things, but here you are, and you wanted to demo our product. Can you tell me what's going on in your world that prompted you to book this demo? That'll help me make sure I structured the demo in the right way. And it's the truth. It's not a sales tactic, because they're going to tell you what's going on in their world. They're going to tell you, like, look, I have this huge pipeline number, and we don't know how to hit it, or we're not getting any responses in our outbound emails. Any number of those things. And you can use that to parrot back to them as you're going through these steps. So if they tell you in the beginning, like, look, we have a huge pipeline number, we don't know how to hit it. Well, by the time you get to business ROI, it's like, look, it sounds like you have a big pipeline number, you have big growth goals. And if you just keep doing what you're doing, you're not gonna hit it. So you can do a double whammy on the growth. You can show the dashboard, like, here's how much pipeline is getting generated using this account, which is a live account. And by the way, if you don't do this, you may not hit your pipeline goals. So the bonus tip I have for you is before you even start the demo, ask why. And you can find your own wording for what feels good to you. You wanna be authentic, but you generally wanna be curious. I'm like, look, you could be doing anything, but here you are wanting a product demo. What's going on in your world? What's going on in your business that prompted you to wanna get a demo of our product? And use that as you're going through each of these steps. And that's the bonus one I had for you. It's a game changer for me. All right, let's recap. To build your unstoppable demo, step number 1, forget features. Start thinking about the 3 core components of a successful SaaS business. Market, what's the urgent, important problem? Who's my ideal customer? Product, what makes us 10x better? And go to market, how do we get them here? How do we talk to them? How do we differentiate ourselves? Those are the 3 pillars. At the center of that is where the wealth is, the money is, the growth is. As you start to get into the demo, ask why, that's the bonus one. But first, jump right into the action shot. Once you show them the action shot, then show the no hands mode. Once you show the no hands mode, show the manager's view, what's in it for the buyer. Then show them the business ROI. Ideally, there's a dashboard or a report in your platform that highlights that and gives an example of that. Then show them what's the business risk if they maintain their status quo. And then lastly, show them the transformation or highlight the transformation they're going to achieve once they buy your product. Those are the 7 key elements of an unstoppable product demo, and now you know what they are. My sincere hope here is that you apply this and you start crushing all the demos that you get. But ultimately, you're gonna need more demos. Ultimately, you wanna drive growth. That's why you wanna get the demo right. So if you're looking to drive growth for your SaaS business, then I encourage you to grab a copy of my 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide. My 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide has been downloaded tens of thousands of times by founders. I get rave reviews from it, and it has the 5 critical components to driving growth for your SaaS business. It's completely free. It's some of my best stuff. It'll link you back to some of the best episodes I have on this channel. It'll give you all the resources that you need. So to grab your copy, just go to getunstoppable.com/strategy. Getunstoppable.com/strategy. And also, if you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. I also would love to hear from you in the comments. So comment below with what value you got and what your aha moment was as you watched this episode. If you have a fellow founder, if you have a team member that would get value from this video, please share this with them. If you're part of a Slack group, a WhatsApp group, if you're part of a community of other SaaS founders, please share this video with them. We want to serve as many SaaS founders as possible. We want to help as many SaaS founders as possible become completely unstoppable. Also, I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure, if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. You'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK. And I'll see you in the next episode or inside the 5-point SaaS growth strategy guide. Say that 5 times faster. Take care, everybody.